Good afternoon and welcome to City Council meeting for Tuesday, November 30th. We'll start off first with the roll call, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor Higgin. Councillor Campbell.
Yes.
Councillor Carlson.
Present.
Councillor Middleton Hope.
Present.
Councillor Palladino.
Present.
Councillor Parker. Councillor Schmidt-Rempel.
Present.
Acting Mayor Dodick.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Croson.
Present.
And Mayor Higgin.
Present.
All present, thank you.
Thank you. Move on to the acknowledgement statement. The City of Lethbridge acknowledges that we are gathered on the lands of the Blackfoot people of the Canadian Plains and pays respect to the Blackfoot people, past, present, and future, while recognizing and respecting their cultural heritage, beliefs, and relationships to the land. The City of Lethbridge is also home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3. First, start with bouquets, recognitions. My far right, Councillor Middleton Hope. Any bouquets or anything else? Nothing to, okay. And Councillor Croson. Sorry, Deputy Mayor Croson, sorry.
Same person. On November 20th, I represented Council at the National Child Day event. This day honors the rights of the child, and one of the things that's in the rights of the child is adults must consider how their decisions affect children. So having a group of children in front of me, I asked them what they would like to see more of in Lethbridge, and I promised to bring back their answers to all of you. They would like to see more swings. They want more slides, and not just straight slides, but the twisty ones too. They want monkey bars, a petting zoo, and a real zoo. Now, this was a small sample size, but I just said I would bring it back. The other thing, of course, today is Giving Tuesday, and it's a day for us to encourage our community to give if they can, whether it is through your time, through your talent, or through your treasures. It's a great day to be reminded that if you have the ability to give, please do. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Croson. Nothing to add? Councillor Parker? Nothing? To my far left, Councillor Dodick. Acting Mayor Dodick, I'm sorry. Still nothing? All right. Councillor Campbell.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just wanted to big shout out to Ryan Miller and his people from Select People Solutions and Teamwork Career Center. They've launched their 13th annual Meals on Wheels 23 Days of Christmas campaign. It's been a phenomenal success, and it has maintained Meals on Wheels, which provides an adequate meal for many people who need it once a day, which is fantastic. And so the money that they raise, which is probably, it's been around the $30,000 range almost yearly, trying to raise that again, that maintains the service which is desperately needed in the city. So congratulations to that organization for bringing that forward. And just a reminder to the public, you can still help out by buying $20 gift cards from local businesses such as the Italian Table, Urban Grocers, and Cuppers. They all have $20 gift cards, and that money goes directly to Meals on Wheels. So it's a great campaign. And again, 13th year of doing it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Councillor Carlson.
Thank you, Mayor Higgin. I just did a quick informal survey, and I too want a twisty slide and a petting zoo. So you can add my...
In council chambers, or?
Just to get in. That'd be awesome. Many members of council had the opportunity last week to visit Nikiyuko and the Winter Lights Festival kick-off. And we got a sort of a sneak peek at the new Bunka Center, which is amazing. I want to just extend my thanks and congratulations to Nikiyuko, Michelle Day, Brad Hembroff, and the rest of the members and volunteers that put that together. So that was an awesome. Tickets are now on sale. We're hoping, well, not really hoping for cold to set in, but we need some cold to set in for the ice sculptures and everything to be able to be put out, but it's going to be amazing. The lights they've kicked it up yet another notch this year, so thank you for that. Further, Councillor Campbell and I had the opportunity to go down to Tourism Lethbridge last week. They had, working for months on a new, unique travel poster exhibition that they put together. It's featuring all of the Lethbridge attractions, Nikiyuko, the Galt, Fort Whoop Up, SAG, Helen Schuler, Nature Center, and the entire city of Lethbridge. The posters are amazing. They are for sale now at Tourism Lethbridge. They make great Christmas gifts. They make great gifts for anyone who has come and enjoyed anything in our city, so check those out. All local artists, and I don't have the list of all the artists, but if you check out Tourism Lethbridge's website or Facebook page, they're showcased there. We collected the City of Lethbridge one, and I believe it's in your office, or is it in Mark's office? We fought over it, so it's somewhere in the city right now. Excellent. So thank you. But they're excellent. They're amazing. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Carlson. Councillor Schmidt-Rampol.
Certainly echoing Councillor Carlson's comments about Nikayuko's Winter Light Festival. It is great to get out and see that. It is on till February 28th, and as Councillor Carlson said, tickets are on sale at nikayuko.com. And then also a shout out to our Alberta film industry for Ghostbusters Afterlife. If you have not gotten out to see that yet, I certainly encourage everybody to get out and see that. Enjoy a movie that is rife with some really questionable jokes, one I shared with Councillor Campbell earlier, and a number of great familiar locations. So it's really great to see that going on down here in southern Alberta.
Thank you, Councillor Schmidt-Rampol. I'd just like to again also echo the Winter Lights Festival, and the weather has been incredible. So of course we haven't had the opportunity to see these beautiful ice sculptures that they were talking about that would be there. And so I'm not complaining with the nice weather, but I understand that it is probably going to be somewhat nigh. So if you have the opportunity to go out with your family to the Winter Lights Festival, it's incredibly beautiful. So. And second, I just wanted to mention is I'm sporting this wonderful, very long-lasted, 1 month long mustache. I'm one of these people that can't grow them that quickly, so this is quite the task for myself. And it's for Movember, so it's to deal with men's mental health. There's many suicides out there with men, and this is an incredible initiative, Movember. So if you have it, it ends tonight. It's again, it goes towards this men's mental health, and so if you go to Movember.com and do a donation there, they go to an incredible cause. So, and I'm thinking of maybe keeping it till at least our hockey tournament on December the 18th. So if it doesn't itch me out too much, we'll maybe keep that. I'm seeing a no over here. Can we vote on that? So, thank you very much, everyone, for the bouquets. We'll move on with the adoption of the agenda. And I do have a resolution from Acting Mayor Dodick that the agenda of the regular meeting of City Council on November 30th, 2021 be adopted as presented. Madam Clerk, are there any amendments to the agenda?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Hagan. I do have a number of amendments to the agenda from administration in the form of replacement items, withdrawn items, and additional items. Requests as follows. For replacements, the 4 borrowing bylaws and respective reports in the consent agenda be replaced with revised versions for first reading. That applies to item 4.5, 4.6, 4.7, 4.8. And those are bylaws 6331, 32, 33, 34. As well, I have the following 6 borrowing bylaws and respective reports to be withdrawn from the bylaws for second, third reading section of the agenda. Those being items 7.11, 7.12, 3, 4, 5, and 6, with the bylaw numbers 6307, 6310, 6312, 6314, 6317, and 6319.
Further words?
I have more. I have 6 new borrowing bylaws and respective reports to be added to the consent agenda for first reading. Those would be item numbers 410, 411, 412, 413, 414, 415, with bylaw numbers 6341, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46. And I have the addition of a supplemental document entitled Multifamily Parcel Map for item 7.111. That's bylaw 6336, the 2022 residential assessment and supplementary assessment subclass. As well, I have the addition of 2 human resource matters, number 1, number 2, in closed session, verbal, and those will be items 14.4 and 14.5. And Your Worship, should council wish to adopt these amendments, I would request a 10-minute recess so that we can recompile the agenda and include all the amendments so that council and the public has the most current information in front of them in the new agenda. Thank you.
And if this does pass, just to confirm that all these bylaws will be re-advertised again and to be brought forward for the first reading, is that correct?
Those in consent will be, yes.
Consent will be, all right. Acting Mayor Dodick.
Yes, prior to adjourning for that purpose, perhaps the city manager might just give a brief explanation as to why this is occurring.
Excellent. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor Higgin. So we received a query from a member of the public who highlighted concern over the language in a number of borrowing laws describing the secondary source of funding and suggesting that the language was not accurate enough for the public to really understand where that secondary source of funding would lie. The language that we had used up until this point in time was based on a provincial template, and we've used it for a number of years. Having said that, we reviewed the concern that was raised, and we believe it to be a fair concern. And so we think the best step is to change that language to make the template clearer for the public to understand. And for that reason, it's necessary, if council approves the recommended agenda modifications, to go back, re-advertise those, and go through the process again.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager, for that recommendation and that explanation. I'm sorry. Councillor Carlson?
Thank you, Mayor Higgin. Through you to City Manager again. Sorry, Mr. Dalton. Can you maybe go a little, is it all right to give a little more detailed nuance as to what the issue is, which language? I have some ideas that it's about the raising municipal taxes sufficient to pay the indebtedness, where many of these are actually utility driven, so it would be utility rates, which have already been factored in. Is that the only concern, or is there other language that I'm missing?
That's correct. I'll ask the city treasurer maybe to speak to the specific portions, yeah.
To members of council and Councillor Carlson, my apologies.
That's all right. I forget who I am half the time too.
I'm not used to speaking through a mask, so I must be losing oxygen. So one of the actual major components here is point 4, just as you highlighted. So in point 4, it talks about raising of taxes. Now that raising of taxes component is actually a requirement under our master loan agreement with the province. It's not intended to be there for the source of fundings that we're going to pay for the actual borrowing bylaw. However, what we believe is the right thing to do is actually be more prescriptive, and actually did find that. So we say the utility fees and charges or off-site levies and charges on each one of them. And then what's changing on it as well in that specific area is that in the case that those weren't sufficient, at that point we would have to raise taxes, and that is a requirement of that master loan agreement to make sure we have adequate funding.
Thank you for that. That was my assumption, so I'm glad I wasn't far off. My second question is, quite often at council, second reading is the opportunity to make amendments. And I'm wondering, and I'm not sure if Mr. Matthews or Mr. Lowen or Ms. Hilford wants to weigh in, could council not just make the amendments now before second reading to include taxes and fees, utility fees and charges? Or is that enough of a change that it would have to trigger the process over again? And the reason I'm curious is just because timing, cost, effort, etc. We could say, okay, we realize that this could be clearer going forward, but for now, this is the way it's been done, not just in our municipality, but most municipalities, and make the slight change. I'm wondering if that's a possibility rather than rewinding time.
I will start by saying we considered all of the options and thought this was the most prudent approach. But if certainly if the city treasurer and the city solicitor want to weigh in, the other piece was the advertising component.
I would add just to that comment, we considered that, and while I don't think it would be a huge risk to do that. We just thought in the interest of, the rationale for making this recommendation was in the interest of transparency and doing it right. Let's just go right back to the meeting with all of them. There's a number of boring bylaws, and if we start doing different things with each one, it might just become confusing and difficult for the public to follow. So having a low operational impact, we thought this was the most appropriate way to proceed.
Okay, if I can, Mayor Hagan, just to follow up on that then, cost and timing to make this minor change.
I'd have to defer to the state clerk's office on the cost side, but as for the timing, what will happen then is we go for first reading today. They'll be back on January the 18th for second and third reading.
That's not an issue, time-wise?
No, we can actually accommodate that within the program.
Thank you. Is there an answer on the cost?
The costs, I will refer to Ryan Westerson. He deals with the advertising of bylaws, if he knows.
Ballpark costing is going to be $500 to $1,000 per ad. These will run 2 consecutive weeks, so $2,000 maximum.
For the entire thing, $2,000?
For these new re-advertisements.
Not per?
That does not include the ones that have already been advertised. So you're looking at another $500 to $1,000 per ad that has already been done. So total investment on advertising is in the neighborhood of $5,000 for borrowing bylaws.
Thank you.
All right, no further questions. I'll turn that over to Acting Mayor Dodick. As far as just moving this,
Call the question on the agenda as amended.
and with that, I'll ask for council's support on that. Questions have been called? All in favor? That is carried. Now we'll just take a 10-minute recess while we compile the agenda, City Clerk, so we'll just take a 10-minute.
Did that need to be unanimous, Your Worship, because I was voting in opposition?
Oh, you were voting in opposite? I'm sorry. There was one, Councillor Carlson,
Not for adoption of the agenda, no.
not for adoption. Okay. All right, we'll take a 10-minute recess. thank you, everyone, for your patience as we got some feedback. There. All right. So if we've still got, okay, no, that's working. This could be interesting throughout. Is anyone else getting feedback? Oh, we're better now. Thank you. All right, we're going to move on with the agenda, and we're on item 4.0, the consent agenda. I have a resolution from Deputy Mayor Crozen. It is up on the screen. And Ryan, if we can kind of scroll through that. I don't know if there's any questions on the consent agenda? If not, Deputy Mayor Crozen?
Well, as we just know that the consent agenda got quite a bit larger in the last 10 minutes, so there's a few more bylaws on there again for first reading, but nothing should be surprising. We have the minutes, the status of directed resolutions, and the procurement summary. And if there are any questions related to anything in there, please ask.
All right.
And if not, I will call.
Oh. Sorry, go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
I know you already asked if there are questions, so I was just going to call the question if there aren't any.
All right. Question has been called. All in favor? Any opposed? That so carries. Thank you. Today we do not have any. Oh. All right. No, this is for later, though. This is right now. 7. Right in. All right. And we do not have any presentations or official business resolutions, so we're moving on to bylaws, and I have a bylaw moved by Councillor Schmidt-Rempel, 7.17, a bylaw to repeal bylaws 5712, 5847, and 6078. Second reading, be it resolved that bylaw 6230, bylaw to repeal bylaws 5712, 5847, and 6078 be given a second reading. Councillor Schmidt-Rempel.
Yep, so just looking at the second and third reading of these ones. And because the other ones were redundant, and moving into repealing them.
Any questions? I see no questions. So with that, can I take your opening and closing? And we'll call the vote on that. All in favor? Any opposed? So carries. Next is bylaw 6. Oh, third reading. Sorry, we do need to have third reading on that. Third reading on bylaw 6230, be it resolved that bylaw 6230, a bylaw to repeal bylaws 5712, 5847, and 6078 be given third reading, and the mayor and city clerk be authorized to sign and seal the same. Councillor Schmidt-Rempel.
Nothing to add.
Question's been called. All in favor? Any opposed? So carries. Thank you. Next, bylaw 6235, amendment to bylaw 6146, the waste bylaw. Councillor Campbell, be resolved that the bylaw 6325, amendment to bylaw 6146, the waste bylaw be given second reading. Councillor Campbell.
Any questions?
No questions?
If not, I will call the question.
Question's been called. All in favor? Any opposed? So carries. And a third reading. Be resolved that bylaw 6325, amendment to bylaw 6146, the waste bylaw be given third reading, and the mayor and city clerk be authorized to sign and seal the same.
Call the question.
Question's been called. All in favor? Any opposed? So carries. Next, bylaw 6327, amending bylaw 6234, regulated default supply bylaw, RDS, from acting Mayor Dodick. Be it resolved that bylaw 6327, amending bylaw 6234, regulated default supply bylaw, RDS, be given second reading. Acting Mayor Dodick.
Excuse me, yes, this is a bylaw that the purpose of which is to set the, as set out in the report, to set the monthly energy price for customers that don't choose someone else to supply their energy. So the city is a default supplier. This is a bylaw that has to be done from time to time, and I would call the question.
There are no questions. Questions been called. All in favor? Any opposed? So carries. And for third reading, be it resolved that bylaw 6327, amending bylaw 6234, regulated default supply bylaw RDS, be given third reading and the mayor and deputy clerk be authorized to sign and seal the same. Acting Mayor Dodick. Question's been called. All in favor? Any opposed? So carries. Next, bylaw 6328, amending bylaw 6233, regulated rate option bylaw RRO. For the second reading, be it resolved that bylaw 6328, amending bylaw 6233, regulated rate option bylaw RRO, be given second reading. Acting Mayor Dodick. Sign and seal the same. Acting Mayor Dodick.
It's the same rationale as for the prior bylaw, and unless there are any questions, I'd call the question.
Councillor Carlson.
Thank you, Mayor Hagan. Just some language that I don't recall seeing before, and maybe I just missed it. It talks about the customers that fall under the RRO tariff must consume less than 250,000 kilowatt hours per year. Could someone explain that language to me and what happens if we consume 250,000.1?
Yeah, good afternoon, Councillor Carlson. You are correct. That's the difference between the RDS and the RRO bylaw. So one is for consumption for people over the 250,000 kilowatt hours, and then the RRO is for consumers less than 250,000 kilowatt hours.
Okay, thank you. So one is over and one is under.
That's correct.
Thank you.
So that's for the second reading. Mayor Dodick.
But we voted on second reading, but,
Nope, second reading. This is on the RRO.
okay, it's the same rationale. Basically, it's one deals with small users, the previous one we dealt with under the 250,000, and this one is primarily, I believe, directed to commercial users. So it's, you have to set the regular rate option for both, whether they're under the 250 or over the 250, and that's the purpose for 7.1.10. So I'd call the question.
Question's been called. All in favor? Any opposed? So carries. And for third reading, be it resolved that bylaw 6328, amending bylaw 6233, regulated rate option bylaw RRO, be given third reading and the mayor and city clerk be authorized to sign and seal the same. Acting Mayor Dodick.
Question.
Question's been called. All in favor? Any opposed? So carries. I have a resolution moved by Councillor Carlson, bylaw 6336 to 2022 residential assessment and supplementary assessment subclass bylaw. Second reading, be it resolved that bylaw 6326 2022 residential assessment and supplementary assessment subclass bylaw be given second reading. Councillor Carlson.
Mayor Hagan, this bylaw does need approval prior to completion of the assessment roll for taxation. Under the MGA Section 297, Council may divide residential assessment class property into subclasses. City of Lethbridge has done so for many, many years, and this bylaw, I believe, is just sticking with the status quo. And unless I've misspoken, I think Mr. Matthews is nodding in agreement. This is the status quo of the subclasses that we've always used. And so, unless there's any questions from my colleagues, I will call for the vote.
Vote has been called. All in favor? Any opposed? So carries. Third reading, be it resolved that bylaw 6336 2022 residential assessment and supplementary assessment subclass bylaw be given third reading and the mayor and city clerk be authorized to sign and seal the same. Councillor Carlson.
Call for the vote.
Question's been called. All in favor? Any opposed? So carries. Next, we're on to 11.1, Councillor Crozin's inquiry and response regarding the snow fence. Is there just, has that been already asked? Has that already been asked then? It's just a response, right?
There's a response there now.
And who is speaking to this?
There wouldn't be anybody speaking.
Nobody speaking to it?
Questions.
Unless, so we received this. Is there any questions on this? Seeing no questions, that's, you don't have to vote on that. Next, we'll move to the omnibus motion 14.1, 14.2, 14.3, 14.4, and 14.5 by Councillor Palladino. Be it resolved that Council direct the closed meeting discussions, reports, documents, and attachments with respect to proposed land sale, external organization status update, strategic planning, human resources matter 1 verbal, and human resources matter 2 verbal, remain confidential pursuant to section 16, harmful to business interests of a third party, 23, local public body confidences, and 24, advice from officials of the Freedom and Information and Protection of Privacy Act. Councillor Palladino. Question's been called. All in favor? Any opposed? So carries. And I must apologize. I skipped over 12 City Council updates. Is there any updates? Are there any updates? No. All right. That's a motion. And I guess we don't require a motion to adjourn. We are adjourned.